Hello.
Hello.
How's it going?
It's going good. Is Christina online?
Yep.
Okay. Executive Director, I'm in charge of the meeting this morning. Tim is not available.
What? 1 second, Jason.
And I'll go through the right. We're waiting for Alex and to tell us we're ready.
I'm gonna try this.
I hear you talking to yourself.
How does that sound?
Well, it was like an echo chamber.
Hello.
How you doing?
Good. You?
Oh, doing all right. Living
Have you
life.
started the meeting yet?
Not yet. I think we're waiting for Tim to call in.
So
No, Tim's not coming.
I'll just come and go.
Oh, okay. Of course, yeah. Tim's not coming?
No, he called me just about 15 minutes ago. He's in the field this morning.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, then I guess we can get started.
Okay. I call the regular meeting for April 7th, the Blue Mountain Translator District Directors to order.
Awesome. President Wallander, absent. Vice President Interarity.
I'm in charge.
Yay. Director Butner. I don't believe he's on the line. Director Kenny.
Here.
And Director Wood.
Here.
Awesome. Well, we have a
Okay. Thank you all for coming. Executive Director, do we have any declarations of conflict of interest?
Potential declaration of conflict of interest for me is that there's going to be a channel forum discussion later on. Just kind of open forum to figure out what we want to do. And for me, the only thing that might be a conflict of interest is that some of the news work I do is probably going to be on the agenda, so I'll make sure to bring that up.
Okay. Next up, reports, Director's report.
Anything, Christina?
I have no reports. I can't stay for the full meeting. I can only stay about 45 minutes or so.
Well, we better get through this.
Okay, well, we can try to work on through it. Okay,
Okay,
Alex?
really sorry about that, but it's the way it is in life.
We'll do what we can do. Mikey?
I have no report.
Anybody else? Okay, Alex,
Nope.
go ahead.
Right, so I've been busy working on getting the local channel stuff up and running, as well as doing all of my regular stuff. The two biggest things, updates for you all. So the Telview gear has arrived, and most of it's all in my office. The only thing we're working on right now is getting some additional static IPs to make the equipment all work. And Sinclair is just about ready to go to start ingesting our feed. I put a copy or an example of what it's going to look like online. So if you go to the Translator District website, there's going to be a live feed in the sidebar on every page, and then there's going to be a separate page that has the live feed on it too. So right now it just shows basically a couple of links to the video and the live stream. And it's just kind of a picture of our logo up right now. So that's what's going on there. The other thing that came out this morning is that the FCC took a look at our reimbursement requests for the repack in 2017. And they didn't really like the way invoices were put together or filled out. Specifically, they gave us 90 days to repack 11 different channel licenses. Now, we didn't have a separate invoice from Rob for every single one of those licenses. He's given us an invoice for the day he picks up Mount Harris, and an invoice for Fanny, and an invoice for Beaver. And because we used all of those invoices on 11 different applications, they went, whoa, you got to submit way more paperwork for that. The other thing the FCC didn't like is that Rob charges more than the standard federal rate for mileage. So we're not allowed to be reimbursed for all of his travel costs. So that's something that just popped into my inbox last night that I'm going to have to spend a couple weeks working on alongside everything else. So that's all for me. Questions?
Okay, so somehow we have to rectify the difference between what Rob charges and what the FCC allows us to pay, or what they will reimburse.
Yeah, about what they will reimburse. The federal mileage rate in 2017 was 0.535 cents per mile. Rob is consistently charged a 0.575 per mile. So we can't be reimbursed for all of his travel costs, just some of them.
So we would have to come up with the extra. Do we have any idea how much that would be, or a round guess?
Not off the top of my head. I mean, what I know is that it was all these bills were already paid in 2017. We're just trying to get back as much for the money we already spent.
Okay, so then for next time, let's see what the difference is. For our next meeting, for this year, whatever year you pick, the FCC reimbursed us so much for Rob's, and what Rob charged was this, so we have a difference of how much to come up with.
All right.
Okay. All right. Next. Is that the only director report?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is bylaws amendments.
Okay. Under old business, the bylaw amendments. Are these the second readings on these?
Yep.
Okay, do we have any discussion regarding these?
Yeah, please, Christine.
Okay.
Sorry, yeah, so there was, in the second reading, there was one word that was left out in your packet that should have been put in there. So basically, we're gonna have to say as you move to adopt the second reading, as amended. And that's the removing a non-elector may not be appointed conditional upon receipt of a service charge. So that was gonna be like, if somebody shows up, they're not a member and they're not a voter, but they wanna be on it, you can't say, okay, we appoint you as soon as we get a payment from you. It has to be somebody who's already paying. So that word just didn't make it.
Okay. Okay, and that correction has been made?
Yep, so you just say, I move to adopt the second reading as amended. Christine,
What about me?
second,
you can't.
No.
You're already a voter, so this doesn't apply to you.
Oh, good.
Okay, I will entertain a motion to adopt the second reading of the board eligibility amendment as amended.
I second,
No, you have to move.
I move,
Oh, you just say so.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we accept the second reading as amended. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, the amendment is approved.
those in favor?
Yes. Oh. Well, okay. Those in favor? Christina,
Yes.
Mike,
Aye. Scott,
Scott?
He's not on the phone.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
aye,
I,
Okay. Motion carries. Now, do we need to do anything for the board of directors here?
No, that's it.
That's it. The performance review update. The performance review was completed after all of the directors had an opportunity for input and comment, and has been provided to executive director. And it is currently on file in the office at BMTD. That's our update.
Awesome.
Any comments?
Nope.
Any concerns?
Nope.
Okay, hearing none, we're on to the next thing. New business, expenditures.
All right, most of these are pretty basic. We got to pay our power bills. Most recent bill from our accountant, Chamber of Commerce membership dues, and PO box renewal at USPS. So that's everything.
Okay, do we need approval on these, or are these advisory?
We just need to have a vote to approve.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to
I
pay the
move that
bill.
we approve the expansion. Hello.
Christina,
That you approve. Okay,
I move that we pay the expenditures, please.
I second,
okay. It's been moved and seconded that we pay the bills. Are there any further comments?
who seconded?
Mike,
All right.
all in favor?
I,
aye,
Aye. No opposed, motion carries. I have a comment about expenditures. Tim had a concern because we have not had information from OPB on a payment lately. Alex, do we have any information about that?
Tim has brought that up a couple times. I really don't know what he's talking about. He's getting that information from Margot. OPB pays their bills slowly, but they are paying them regularly, so everything's fine on that front.
Okay, then what I want to see on that is for next time, when was the last time they paid? I want
Probably
to
like,
know that.
last check from them.
Anybody?
Yeah, okay, it was 2 weeks ago for the previous power bill.
Okay, so 2 weeks. Okay, perfect, thank you. Exactly what I wanted to know. Now, what's next on the agenda is the procurement policies and RFP template. Alex?
All right, so public contracting and RFP rules in Oregon are kind of strange. I think we've talked about this a little bit in the past. The law says that if we don't have our own board policies about public contracting, then we just have to adopt the state's rules, and that's about 200 pages of stuff that it's really hard to follow. it was really difficult for people to submit RFPs for the things that we tried to do earlier this year. So the rule is that if you don't want to use the state's RFP rules, you have to adopt your own for your own local government, and that's what I presented here. Basically what I did was copy and paste the board policies on contracting and procurement from the city of Aurora, Oregon. It's a small city, you know, they kind of have a similar setup to what we have, small city, small services, small budget, that kind of thing. And I just kind of replaced every reference to their city council and their city manager with the executive director and the board of directors here. Tim had some comments that he wanted to address about, get that limit there. So he had some comments about what looks like the creation of some new entities here. I think there was just a little miscommunication. The board of directors is ex officio the contract review board. So that's when we, in a meeting, pause and go, okay, contract review board in session, and move to approve contract with X, Y, and Z company. And then once that's done, we say, okay, back to the board of directors. Now we have the option of creating a separate 5-member contract review board, but a lot of small government agencies like us don't do that. So that was Tim's concern there. The other one is his concern about the price of things that we put out. Let's see. Pull this up.
Okay, I don't,
Sorry, so on page 5, under section 4,
okay.
A.II, so it says exemptions for competitive bids, says that we don't have to put out a bid for a contract that would be worth less than $2,000. And Tim was concerned
Right.
that we do occasionally have really large expenditures that are kind of unexpected and just need to be done right away. I think several years ago, we had kind of suddenly do some maintenance on Mount Fanny, and that cost, how much was it, Christina?
The big maintenance,
Yeah.
41,000.
Yeah, yeah. So sometimes we have to drop $41,000. And Tim is a little concerned that that might be a little limiting us to $2,000 generally is kind of bad. The proposal I would have is that we say the $2,000 limit would be for administration. We don't have that same limit for engineering. So if we do end up having to drop a bunch of money, we can just kind of move forward. The only problem that might be there is if there's actually a state limit that says $2,000. So we'll just have to check with Wyatt first to make sure that's okay.
Okay, does it say this in here? Does section B there cover that we may by resolution exempt contracts from competitive bidding? It doesn't, where does it say that we can, or is it under emergency contracts? A contract may be exempted by unanimous vote determines that emergency conditions require prompt execution. Is that what covers it, section 5?
Yeah, that's one way to cover it. If it's kind of an emergency situation. So I think that could be something that covers Tim's concerns.
Okay.
I think the overall goal of having this system here in place would be like if we needed to find a new accountant, for example, you know, we couldn't just give it to somebody if the total amount we pay them over the year is more than $2,000, that kind of thing.
Right.
So if we suddenly had to replace a translator like we did a few years ago,
that would be covered under the emergency thing.
Yes.
Okay. Do we have an ongoing contract with Margot?
I don't know if there's a contract in place or not. It was something that was put together before my time, so I'm going to have to go back and see if there is in fact a contract in place.
Okay. Christina, do you feel like the section 5 alleviates Tim's concerns?
Yes, I do. We can't predict emergencies, but we have to be able to move fast. And this would allow three members to get together, call a board meeting, an emergency board meeting, within what, 24 hours? We can do that.
Yeah.
We can do that within 24 hours. That's pretty fast response, even by, by any standards, private industry or.
Okay.
So I'm comfortable with that myself.
Okay, Mike?
So my question is, has our council reviewed this and has given his stamp of approval?
No, he has not. That was going to be the next step after we adopted the first reading, was to send it to him and see if he has any problems with it.
Okay, so this is a first reading on these.
Yep.
Okay. And from here, once we approve the first reading, then they'll go to him and come back for the second reading?
Yep.
Okay. Does that answer the
My
question?
other question is, does Margot know whether she's under contract? Wouldn't it be easy just to call her and say, do we have a contract, or how did that come about?
Well, that was before Alex's time. Christina, do
So
you know?
the was
Wouldn't she
No,
know?
I don't. I doubt we have a contract.
Okay, we just
She
employed.
was just hired. Yeah, I think she's just not a contract employee, but
it
service.
would be covered under the RFP rules.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure that you all
Okay.
can follow the state's 200 hiring her.
No.
Okay. All
I
right.
think
Okay. Are there any other comments about the policies and RFP templates? So we need a motion to approve for a first reading. Is that right?
Yep. Yes.
Okay.
I move to approve the first reading of board policies regarding contracts and competitive bidding.
I second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Mike, aye.
Aye. Okay, Executive Director, that carries for the first reading.
Great. So the next part of this section is approved template. So the template also comes from Aurora. It fits with their, it's a template they base to be in compliance with their rules. So basically, once we send out an RFP, this one's a lot shorter. I think the ones the state has us use, if we have to use their rules, is something like 60 to 70 pages long. And this one is shortened down to 13. So you all received a copy of the template in your email. And it's included at the end of the board package. I didn't have any comments from Tim about it. If we want that to the legal counsel as well for review.
I think that would alleviate some concerns if we do.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and do that, so. Do we need to approve a first reading on it?
Nope.
No? Okay. What's next? Minutes. I don't have any.
Okay. Next up, okay, let's probably skip that one quickly. So
Alex, I can barely hear you. Christine, have you
so
been to
next
the
item
doctor?
on the agenda.
Mine's allergies.
Go ahead, Alex. Okay.
Okay, so the next item
No.
on the agenda, there was an open forum local channel. That was an early discussion about the next year's budget. And then contract review board agreement for the agreement with extension, and then minutes. So I don't know that we can cover all of that in the next 20 minutes before Christina has to leave. So I guess we can kind of pick and choose what we want to do. I think we don't need to do the agreement with OSU extension to renew the lease on Island City is not up for renewal until October, but Tim wanted it to be on the agenda now. So what do we want to talk about first?
Okay, so due to time constraints, let's put off, how much time do they need to get that done? We just need to get everybody to sign it, right?
Yeah, and it's not up for even discussion until like September or October.
Well, I think we're pushing a lot of stuff to the back burner to get the TV station up, and I don't think that that's necessarily appropriate. However, since we have time constraints, we are going to move this to the next meeting in May.
All right.
And yes, I know that's budget meeting, but we have to get it done. What's next, Alex?
Okay, so we got basically two big discussion items to go through. One is about the local channel, and one is about the budget. So basically, it's which one do you want to discuss first?
Okay, let's start with the budget and tell me what page that's on.
The budget is page 8.
Okay. So this is a preliminary discussion?
Yeah, so I just need you to say, is there any objection to opening item 5D?
No. No, I don't have anything.
Oh, I don't know why that would be appropriate. I'm going to open discussion on 5D.
All right.
Alex?
Okay, so usually the way we start with the budget conversation is that in April, we have our first talk about it, kind of what we want to see in the budget next year. Then I go to Margot, talk about numbers, and then in May, we put up the official recommendation to the budget committee, and then in June, we pass it. So this is the first of basically 3 big steps to get it done.
Okay.
So I want to note some of the numbers that we're looking at for 2021. I think our total resources for the next year, that includes the money we have at the beginning, cash on hand, plus expected revenue. And I think that number next year is probably going to be around 400,000. That may change a little bit depending on what the COVID-19 outbreak does to the economy. But I think we're in a really good financial position next year.
Okay, I think we need to be... Go ahead.
So those are projected numbers right now. Like I said, there might be some changes because of the economy. So we're going to get better numbers from Margot after this is over so that we can figure out how much money we're probably going to have and how much we can spend.
Okay.
Next thing is that we were originally planning on purchasing our playout system this summer, but we ended up doing it now, so we don't have to figure that into next year's expenditures. The channel conversation is going to be a little weird. We're going to have the over-the-air channel for the duration of the COVID-19 emergency, and that's probably going to last until the end of summer. After that, we do have a year to run the streaming channel on our own. I don't know if Sinclair is going to let us keep 16.4 after this summer when the national emergency is over, but the ultimate goal was to have our own channel license so that we can have, something that we control for ourselves, something we can add additional translator spaces to, that kind of thing. So we wanted to figure costs for building up a local channel, but only if the revenue necessary comes in for it. Next one up is building a new facility on Mount Fanny. This is going to cost a lot of money. We can get funding from the legislature that we talked about, probably in the amount of $10,000 to get a new building. That's something that our legislators are comfortable pushing for us. The problem we got right now is that, it's $10,000 probably just to get the structure. It's probably going to be over $100,000 altogether to do everything required. I imagine The environmental protection study is probably going to be about $10,000. Building a fence around the transmitter up there that we talked about at the special meeting in January, probably going to be around $5,000 for fencing. I know our health insurance expenses are going to increase a little bit this year because the cost of the plan has increased. Other than that, I wanted to keep basically all of our other budget levels at the same as they are this year. I don't want to spend even more on the things we're already spending on, because we just kind of need to tighten our belt and look at costs as we have some other big things come through. So questions, concerns?
Okay. My concern about the facility on Mount Fanny is that this needs to get done. We need to get started with whatever has to happen. Because yes, we can't get up there in person until July-ish, give or take. But we need a report before then that includes, we have, do we have pictures of what's going on up there? Who's taking pictures up there? Does the ONI have any, or does Rob have any that will let us start the process for the stuff? We need to start the process for getting the funding so that we can go ahead with this. The over-the-air channel is not going to carry us if we can't keep up. We have to be able to do the physical plant stuff on the mountains to make sure we have TV. Yeah. So I know that we have two competing deals. I don't think they're mutually exclusive, but I think physically, money-wise, we need to start the process for what has to get done on the mountain.
Yeah.
So what is the first thing that has to happen?
Oh, let's see. So first thing is that basically once the mountain opens up, we need to send a couple of contractors up there and see if they have an idea about what can be done to build a new building. Once they have kind of an idea in mind, then we have to spend thousands of dollars on a NEPA study to figure out what we can and can't do up there. And if the NEPA study says that we can build a building up there, then we've got to make a plan for when we want to get this done, and we have to spend probably the next year finding an extra $100,000 to get a building built. And again, that's the building's probably going to be about $10,000. We talked to our legislators about getting funding for just the building. It's the construction of the building and retooling that site up there to have another facility on it that's going to cost $100,000. There are a few different ways we could pay for that. The one that's accessible to us under state law is a bond levy. So there would have to be an election to choose whether or not we want to do a bond. That would get us $100,000 to construct everything. Other than that, we've got to look for as many grants as we can find. Because again, $100,000 is going to be really hard to come by, even if we get 10,000 of it for just the building.
Okay, my concern here is that there's a vague amount of knowledge about what has to happen floating around, and to me, the two $10,000 and the $5,000 that you threw out, I want to see a timeline. We have 3 months before July shows up. I want us to be ready to rock and roll once we get that information. So in the next 3 months, I want us to be doing the prelim work on finding construction companies to give us estimates. I want those to be in place when July hits. We need to get them up there. We don't want to be in July and say, hey, we need to hire somebody. We need to be ready in July to rock and roll.
Alex, is this a bid process on the contractors?
Yeah, I'm a little concerned about the bid process for this. The thing that Rob was hesitating about in an email he sent me is that he doesn't think it's possible anybody would even quote us without paying them for the quote. So we're going to have to probably spend a bit of money just getting people to bid on this.
Okay.
That adds to all of the other costs.
Okay, but if we don't find out what we have to do, then we're going to get to July and be in the same place, and we're going to be next year before
Right.
we can get somebody up there.
Yeah, so I'm
So-
not saying this can't be done or it won't be done. I'm just letting you know what the process is involved. I'm going to do whatever you tell me to do.
Okay,
It's too bad we don't have any
so
way to get
let's
our engineers or National Guard to do it.
okay, let's make a timeline about what things have to happen in what order. You know, not necessarily it has to happen by, you know, May 10th, but I would like to see these are the steps we have to take before, so that when July comes, we can get somebody up there. And I'm sorry, I'm ignorant about the NEPA. What's that acronym?
I think it's National Environmental Protection Act.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, a National Environmental Policy. So it's a federal law
Okay.
that requires a certain number of things to be done when you're going to use federal land to build something. You have to basically
Right.
spend money studying it, hope that there's nothing in the way.
I got it. Let's have a plan.
Yeah,
You know, these are the steps that have to happen for us to get work done up there. And let's take a look at that next month. Just write out what the steps are and what order they have to happen in, so that we can say, okay, let's go ahead with trying to line somebody up or whatever. But I need a list of what the steps are
yeah.
so that I can see that. Can you do that?
Yep.
Okay, let's see that. Christine, are you good with that?
Yeah, I think the environmental part is going to be the hardest.
Well, it's probably going to be the most involved, but I just don't want to waste the time between now and July when somebody can go, look, let's get as much of this
Well,
stuff done
That's
in the
just,
meantime.
we can't do anything physically until that environmental deal is in and passed.
Yeah,
And we can't can't write contracts, we can't plan or design or do diddly squat until they approve that environmental impact. And that has to come through the Forest Service, right?
yeah, that's where it's going to be funneled through. I don't know if we pay the Forest Service for the NEPA study or if there's a firm we have to hire, and that's information I'm going to get from the Forest Service about the next step to take. But it's also possible that the NEPA study will be rejected and we won't be allowed to do anything up there.
Yeah.
Okay,
And if
but
it's
let's,
And if it gets rejected, I don't know what we're gonna have to be able to do. Because the building is not adequate for what purposes we're putting it through and everybody else is putting it through.
And that's the risk
Okay.
we run. If we can't build a second facility to house everything, then we're going to have to look at replacing the one, and that's going to be a much harder process. The big thing again was for EO&I, they said they'd probably just have to move to a different facility, and then we lose the revenue we're getting from them as tenants. So we want to make sure, you know, if we want to hope that we can get a second facility built up there, and if we can't get a second facility, we're going to have to make some even harder decisions about replacing the current one.
okay, but let's get a contingency plan where let's go with the NEPA study and get that started, because it takes the federal government a long time to get off their turtle status and do something. let's get that in gear and get it set up for as soon as they can do it, if they will do it. You know,
Yeah.
let's be proactive and say, oh, well, we need to do this now. Let's be on it about lining up for timely stuff, for timely
Yeah,
action.
I completely, that is
Okay.
all doable. At least getting the plan in place, I know how to write it and I know how to get it written. I know who to talk to if I don't know something on the plan.
Perfect.
So it can all
That
be done.
sounds perfect.
Building.
Okay, so we don't need any action on this, do we?
We'll talk.
Mike has comments.
All right,
I think it's important that we get with our partners and those and our users in this process, because we can't have EPA going up there and this is going to affect all these other people. So I think they need to be included in what the issue is and get some idea of how they feel about it. I don't want them to be surprised.
yeah,
I think we need to get them on board, whether it be EONI or any of the other users that are using the facility, because it's going to affect them dramatically.
yeah,
Well, we have to do our homework first before we go to EONI and say, hey, we're going to do this NEPA study. We need to know what the NEPA study is going to involve and whether or not they'll do it. Then we can advise our partners like OPB and EONI and those folks, hey, this is where we're going. We can advise them ahead of time if you think that that's doable, Alex, where if you want to let EONI know that, hey, we're contacting NEPA, we're going to get the study done if they'll do it, and we'll let you know what's coming as soon as they let us know. I don't know how that interactive part works. Do you want to just say, hey, we're looking at the NEPA study so we can put up a new building. We'll let you know what they say.
oh,
I
they're gonna
mean,
get
is that
involved
something-
way earlier than that. I mean, the NEPA study
Okay.
comes after we get a quote, and the quote is going to have to entail installing a building that can work for everybody. So the quote isn't just, okay, we can put a box there. It's going to have to be, how's the box positioned? What kind of mounts do we put on it for everybody's antennas? What kind of power and other supplies do we need to put inside of it? It's going to be a much bigger process than just, oh, hey, EONI and Elcor Media Group, we got this quote for a box. We hope it works for you. We're going to do a NEPA study now.
Okay.
Okay, then let's just be thinking about how the process is going to work and put it in a remedial fashion for me,
Yes.
so that I understand. You know, I am not. This is where your knowledge comes into being about contacting everybody, and you know, I'm looking at this as your forte for how this works. You have to make the plan understandable for us so that we can say, yes, let's do this, or no, we can't do that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense to you? Okay. I'm not being critical about what's happened, but I want to be able to understand
Oh, yeah. No, I completely agree.
what's coming long term. Okay. We don't have to take any action on the budget discussion. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Next up. How
Okay.
much time do you have, Christine?
She's got about 5 minutes. So what I want to suggest is that we just kind of, let's go ahead and approve the minutes and then let Christina go, and then we can end the meeting. Jean and Mike, you and I can continue talking because we won't have quorum anymore. Brent Clapp is here and he can talk a little bit about channel stuff, and we can kind of use that as something to talk about at future meetings. That's good for you.
Okay.
So,
All right.
There's a minute.
Go.
so just
What are we
say that
doing?
you're, say that you're going to table item 5C.
Sorry. 5C.
Yeah, that's channel discussion. Not going to be part of the board meeting.
Okay. All right. We will table 5C for the next meeting.
And then, do you want to approve minutes now?
Sure.
So minutes were emailed yesterday.
Then I don't have it.
Well, do we want to wait until the next meeting to do that?
No.
Oh.
I always agree.
Okay. Do you have any questions about the meetings? Okay, we have 2 meeting minutes to approve. Christina, can you make a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes for 3/10/2020?
I move that we approve the regular meeting minutes for 3:10.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I think Mike seconded it.
All right.
Aye.
Mike said aye. Aye. Motion carries. Okay, for the 3/2020 emergency meeting,
I move
Aye.
that,
Oh, I'm sorry, Mike.
Mike's
Go ahead.
got it. Christina.
I move that we accept the emergency meeting minutes of 3/20/2020. Those in favor?
Is
Aye.
there any discussion? All in favor?
Mike. Mike, aye.
James and I. Minutes are approved as presented.
Any public comment? All right.
Okay, let's
Sounds
schedule
good.
our next. Do we have public comment?
No, it was just me.
Okay. Let's schedule our next meeting. I talked with Tim this morning. Right now, it's field work. He was wondering whether or not we could consider an evening meeting, like say a 6:30 or 7, since we're doing them by phone anyway. Would that work for you, Christina?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that will also work for Scott because he has a 7 to 5 schedule right now during the day. Alex, how does that work for you?
It works.
Okay, we're going to look at May. What do we have to do? What are our requirements for budget in May, Alex?
So what's going to happen next is that I'm going to go to Margot. I might have a director with me just so we can go over some of the numbers. I'll see if one of you wants to do that. So once Margot and I have some numbers put together, I will have a budget meeting, or I will have budget numbers put together. So for the budget committee meeting, we're going to have to make sure we've got 5 people on board again. So Jean, if you could reach out to the, I forgot their names that you had attend as committee members last time, or you recruited last time.
Okay.
If you could reach out to them, that would be helpful. And then I will reach out to, Christina can ask Walt, and I will ask Mary McCracken and, sorry, my brain is a
Okay,
little
so
bit beat.
we need 5 non-board members, is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. Do we need a regular board meeting in addition to the budget meeting?
So the way it's going to work is that it'll start out with a very short 5-minute meeting where we renew appointments or appoint new people depending on the makeup of the budget committee this year. Some people might not be able to participate. And then a couple of people have had terms expire. So after that 5-minute board meeting to appoint people, then we'll have the budget committee meeting where we go over the numbers. And then after that, we can have a regular board meeting, or we could choose a different day for the board meeting. That'll all be held remotely like this one.
I'm kind of in favor of having 2 separate meetings. Do we need it before the budget meeting or after?
Either one works.
Christina, any opinion?
No opinion.
Okay, so Alex, our normal would be the first Tuesday, is that right?
Yep.
Okay, that's May 5th.
That'd be
Can
the
we
5th?
call our, yep, can we call our regular board meeting for May 5th at 6:30 in the evening?
Yep.
Okay, and then the budget meeting will be scheduled as you have the information available.
Yep.
Okay. Any further discussion or items?
No?
Meeting's adjourned. Oh, I take it back. Mike's got a comment.
Oh, yeah?
Could we attempt to have the budget meeting in April?
No. Don't we have a set schedule for that?
I don't really know. Guys, Christina has to leave, so we can keep talking about this afterward. Can you say you move
Okay.
to adjourn? Mike, say you second.
I move to adjourn.
Someone
I second it.
He said,
Been
okay.
moved and seconded.
All right, I'll vote.
We're adjourned. We're adjourned. We don't need to vote to adjourn. Okay. Bye, Christina. Take care of yourself.
Bye, everybody. I
Okay.
will.